Hello and welcome to the Cronos Watcher. Quick check-in on the charts again for Monday the 21st. So let's jump straight into it. I have up in front of me, I did have MMF, so we'll jump back over to it. We've seen some further recovery as far as I remember. I'll wait for the internet to bring it up in front of me, hoping to go fast on this one, but it doesn't seem to want to work with me. As you can see, we're back up on the 24-hour, just a percentage point. I think that's due to the volatility that we've seen. Already $11 million in volume over the last 24 hours. So continuing with that strong trend of massive amounts of volume. Might try and refresh this here and get MMF to load for us again. Just wait for it now. Typical. Absolutely typical. If you were on the stream the other day, you remember this happening before. I have to figure out something with the internet. Busy in the evenings, I think, is the problem. But as you can see there, MMF kind of moving back up off its sort of a death spiral the other day. And we're hoping, I suppose, for some recovery. Looking at the daily here, you can see we've moved back up since yesterday. And if we go over the 4 hour, we get some more detailed information on what happened. Let's just reset this here for a better view. Yeah, you can see there's still some volatility in this middle range here, there over the dollar. So further downside range, we can see to 96 cents, I would say, would be another scary point. And we did touch off that there midnight, 4 a.m. UTC. And over the course of the UTC morning then, and during the day, have moved back up again. If we get zoomed in for you guys here, sorry. You can see there we had a bit of downwards kind of scare over the day before, and we're still just kind of pausing within the same range. I think my computer is kind of freaking out about this again. Sorry about that if you can hear the fan noise in the background. So MMF again, a dangerous point, I suppose, below the dollar and into the 97, 96 and 5 mark, cents mark. You would see continued downside trend then again. So we're looking to find support here at the dollar and move back up over the course of the week. I suppose we've seen the excitement now for the weekend and things might calm down again. Still not sure. I suppose everybody just sold on Paddy's Day for the drink, wasn't it? That's really all it was. all of us going crazy for Paddy's Day. But we've seen a lot of volatility since, and we just want to see that calm down again, get to the same kind of volume that we saw before, and hopefully tick to the upside with further news about the ecosystem. But for now, MMF holding on at 102, and I suppose at 8:30 UTC, so we still have another 3.5 hours till close. We had an open of 98 cents, looking like we'll have a close of 102.58, and we had a high of 101 and low of 97. So hopefully pretty stable here after the madness that we had before the weekend. So that's MMF. Let's jump to Savannah. Just waiting for the internet again. So this is Savannah, their reward token, Savannah Finance. Again, we're seeing a bit of a tick upwards after the craziness, and the same effect as MMF. So our last 12 hours have looked healthy enough, just a lot less volume, and looking for a stronger recovery than we have seen so far. We've continued downwards, I suppose more profit taking and fear selling possibly after that crazy trend. So it's kind of the same as MMF. We're looking to level off here around 140. If we see continued downside, it looks like there might be a lack of support there around the 120 range, and that's the bottom side of our entire volume. So that would be a dangerous point to be ticking downwards to, one to keep an eye on during the week. If we're moving towards that 135 cents range, we might see a lot of continued downside then. So we're looking for a stronger recovery at the moment from Savannah Finance after that, but it has looked like it's done that every time. It hasn't been uncommon for it to reach that range, and you can see tick all the way back up, and we kind of have another indicator of that happening before here. So hopium would be that we see some strength continuing off this green volume here, and that pattern is sort of repeated for Savannah. So we need continued excitement, continued volume into the ecosystem. I suppose maybe some swapping out from other dexes and etc. back into Savannah after this news event, after we had that large crash there back in the 17th and 18th. When it was 17th over to the 18th. So that's what we want to see is a bit of recovery and returned volume back into the platform. So any hopium upside ranges, I suppose, for the moment would be for it to sort of slowly settle up to that 150 and 155 cents range, and then continue from there. That would look like a strong upward signal. So for now, we're still hanging out there. We go back to the daily and check what we had. Again, 3.5 hours from close, whatever that is. So let's bring it up larger for you here. We had an open of 140, and it's looking like we might have a close of 143, high of 144, and a low of 135. So quite a bit of volatility there, less than we did have the 2 days prior after the sell event. So hopefully leveling off, and we want to just see continued upside there in terms of hopium, and we're watching out for that lower range of 140. So that's it for Savannah. Wanted to take a look here at MSHARE as well, the revenue token, the share token for the same platform, DYOR and all of that. If you're just checking these out and you're hearing about them on the stream, obviously do your reading and join Discords, follow on Twitter, all of that good stuff. But mostly the same. The volume and patterns on a lot of these look the same because the ecosystems are very much related, for one thing. And I think there might be swapping of liquidity between them a lot. I suppose if people are a fan of MMF, they're probably in Savannah, and MSHARE is probably generalization you can make at least. So on the 4 hour, we've seen a lot of calm down in volume, had one big wick there, all right, midday UTC. But other than that, just as we're watching now, we've seen an uptick on the 4 hour into green, into positive volume. Let's check it out in the daily and see what we had, because we discussed this a good bit yesterday. We opened at 11,032, so that's $11,000.32. And then we had a close, it looks like we'll have a close at least of 11,520, 11,479 drops as I'm speaking about it. So we want to watch for that volume there. Again, much the same as Savannah and MMF after the sell event. We want to look for just continued strength and upside here. I think with the share tokens, that's probably a safer bet. And you can see that MSHARE didn't suffer as much in percentage as the others did. We did 34% drop, but again, potential downside would have been, let me bring it up for you here, another 25% on top of that, down to the bottom of our current sort of volume ranges. So should be looking safe enough, hopefully, if we continue above this and up into the 12 and 13,000 ranges again. Looks like we hit a top there, so if we want to look ahead to see if we poke through that 13,000 range again, I suppose another significant psychological number to look for would be the 15K range. And again, all of this depending on ecosystem narrative and news developments and etc. So again, on the 4 hour, just in case we're looking a bit more short term, we seem to be seeing a lot of volume again during the day, UTC, whatever that is, for whatever reason that is. And we want to see some strength again above the 12,000, would be the first mark. Pop over those little resistance ranges there we have. You can see that was sort of a bottom side there for a while when we were on the way up, and after the sell event now it seems to have been a top where more profit was taken and we saw more movement to the downside. So again, on the daily, I think it was 11.32, and we'll be looking for an 11.5-ish close. Hopefully, that will be the hopium at least. So that's it for MSHARE. Let's move on to MMO. Want to keep an eye on the time for this one, shorten them down a bit. Don't think the algorithm likes the very long ones too much, so we were just checking out the weekly before on MMO, but again, down on the daily, what we have an 8.44 open and an 8.38 close. It is looking at the moment somewhere around there. So we had a high of 8.59 and a low of 8.08. I suppose it's a good one to keep in mind, at least, that MMO was seeing continued strength during that Mad Meerkat sell event we had. It's only kind of suffered there now. On the 20th, it had, I suppose, overall it touched the top at 927 and it had moved down 15% over that time. So the top was back on that was just on at midnight on the 20th, and it touched the bottom then during the midday of the 20th of 780. So a lot of range there, a lot of volatility. I suppose we'd be looking for our next breakthrough range of like 868, I suppose 870, to watch it go to the upside again of its prior tops. I presume the news narrative and the excitement around the platform currently would hopefully continue this trend. At the moment, I suppose we have the MMT launching and everything, so you could kind of depend on that. So the hopium would be we'd see recovery off this little bit of downside. Bottom side ranges we're looking to test $8, 809, 810. And then dangerous ranges below that at kind of 780. If we see more selling to there, you might see continued profit taking and kind of panic downside. So let's just check out the daily again for the open and close. It was 844 open and looking like an 838 close, so not too much volatility, but within that then 860 high and 808 low. So yeah, it's hopefully going to recover again. That's the hopium. You can see it hasn't touched the downside range of 780 the day before, and a few days before that there was a downside wick at least of 750. So they would be the danger ranges to look for. We want to hope for some recovery and upside here for MMO. Just take a second now, get a quick drink. Okay, excuse me. And we'll move on to Sky here. Sky token seeing a strong uptrend now after the a small bit of downside that it saw on the 20th midday UTC, a little bit of downtrend to 8 o'clock, but now continuing that upside movement, another 25% in the range there in those green candles that you can see at the end. If we move out to the daily and we'll just check it out, again we have an open of 1245, so that's very strong after the few days before that is simply continued to tick up every day. You can see those are ridiculously strong daily candles, like we said the yesterday when we were looking at it, had a little bit of a downtick, I suppose, some profit taking off that exciting range of 12k. You can see it opened yesterday on the 20th at 13.55. It closed at 12.45. But today again, now we opened at 12.45. We had a low of 11.93, but it's looking like we will close at 14.51. Again, another 3.5 hours left in that. But very strong movement out of Sky. Again, a revenue, a share token, which I presume is seeing some upside after the news narrative with Mad Meerkat, maybe. I imagine people shifting money back in there, still new money coming into the ecosystem, and dark crypto looks like quite an attractive platform. Do your own research. It's totally not financial advice, obviously, but they have some things in the GameFi side, and everything's together. It's working, completely functional. still relatively high TVL for the ecosystem for the chain so far. So I suppose to talk a little technically at least, at the moment you would want to be careful of another downside tick like we had yesterday. That was a whole 11% of profit taking. I suppose that 1500 range now is one we want to look at as another big profit taking point. It's another significant psychological number, like we were saying actually with MSHARE on the overall. If that ticked up all the way up to 15,000, that there'd be a lot of profit taking. Same here with Sky, and it's the same type of token, a share revenue token. So you're looking at a psychological sell point there at 1500. So now would be even more careful of some downside and some profit taking on that. Having said that, seems to be sort of continued upside for the moment. We're getting really hot in the range though, so we'd expect to see some sell off and profit taking, some level and some consolidation, find some range around here, because at the moment we have basically spiked up from a range of, I suppose, $700 in that exciting range of 1,000 all the way up to 1,500 basically. So we want to find a new range in here essentially after this spike up. Again, so new, every project is so new, maybe it is finding its own range, we don't know yet, but we want to see what happens with the platform fundamentally, see what type of money, how much volume comes in, what the platform are doing, what it's offering. That'll dictate where we're going to find those ranges. So again, for Sky token, had an open of 12.45 and a close of 14.53. It looks we're 3.5 hours off that, so we'll see where that range goes. Looks like the high and lows were 14.43 and 11.93 at the moment. So that's it for Sky token at the moment. So I'm just checking out some stuff with our stream. Seems all the time that my software is telling me that my stream actually isn't working. Sorry, just correcting audio too, trying to at least. Thought we'd have a look at CRN here. This is our weekly chart. If we go back into our daily, we've seen another downside, another bit of downside for the moment. So we had an open of 8.59 and we're looking at a close at the moment of 7.29. So it seems that CRN ticking down for the moment. Again, as I said yesterday, simply profit taking, a consolidation point. Now it's looking to find its feet down here below $10 for the moment while the project sort of resets basically. So for CRN at the moment, we would expect probably continued downside with lower volume and continuing sell pressure. You can see the 24-hour volume. This at one stage was completely crazy. I think I remember it being in the tens of millions. Certainly the millions anyway, a couple of the days when it was having its massive blow up in popularity. There was certainly millions, if not tens of millions, in volume on the 24-hour registering here on Dex Screener at least. So yeah, we're looking just like a lack of excitement and some consolidation for the project finding its feet down in this $10 range. If we have a look at the 4 hours, see how much volatility we had, it doesn't look like there would be a lot. No, we've simply at 8 o'clock UTC in the morning, we had quite a large candle there. It was an open of 8.28 and closed at 7.27. So over that 4 hours, we saw a bit of sell volume, which has brought us down to that range. At the moment, it has kind of floated there again. So we'll see what happens over the days now on the daily for the week. But I would expect